Let's get ready to rumble!
Hello and welcome to Netflix versus Cinema, the podcast that today is admitting that there is pretty much only one game in the cinematic town. Yes, Marvel have released another movie and everyone else has run scared, although today we shall be discussing whether everybody else should have been so scared. My name is Tosin, I am the host, and I am up in the Midlands in the United Kingdom, and joining me on the Isle of Wight, as always, is Sharon Bollen.
Hello.
And making a recent comeback is Shaun Harris.
Hello there. Hello.
Yes, Shaun Harris, the man who we have, what's the word I'm looking for? We determined this week Mark Kermode is a big fan of.
Oh, yes, huge fan.
Yeah, but we have the evidence of Mark Kermode saying Shaun Harris. I mean, he's just brilliant in everything. It's like, so Shaun has been dining out on that one. Anyway, we are going to, what we usually do on this show is that we go to the cinema. We usually see three things, usually one film per person per week, and we stay at home and we see three things, one thing per person per week, and we come back and we rate them out of 5. Although, as we said, there is one game in the cinematic town, that is Doctor Strange. Marvel have done it again. They've released the film and everyone else is going, no, not us, no, we'll just let you have the cinema all to yourself. But even then, we've managed to get 2 films in. So we've all seen Doctor Strange in the Multiverse of Madness.
Yep.
And Shaun, you managed to see a film that has been around for a while, but we haven't gone around to it because, let's be honest, I was the only one who was going to watch it, and I haven't.
Yes. Yeah. I figured we might need one in case, but yeah.
I was the only one who was going to watch it, and I have not been able to find time in my nappy changing schedule to watch this film, which is The Bad Guys, an animated movie. For those of you wondering why I was the only one who would watch it, Sharon would rather. I've got to think. Sharon would rather watch the Book of Boba Fett than be made to watch an animated movie. So and at home, so I keeping everything Marvel, so we can have like a Marvel big screen versus Marvel small screen thing. I saw Moon Knight. I have seen all 6 episodes of Moon Knight. Sharon, what did you see?
At the cinema, I saw Doctor Strange, and at home, I saw The Rising on Sky.
All right, and Shaun, at home, you saw.
Yeah, The Other Side of the Wind, which was it was a documentary film on Netflix, which was about Orson Welles' last film that never got released. So.
Oh yeah, I knew that title sounded so familiar.
So it was all about Orson Welles. Basically, it was all about Orson Welles and him making his last film. And there's quite a few films he's sort of half made or made and haven't been completed. And it was a little bit about his career and everything. So I thought that was quite good because, there's other directors in it, Peter Bogdanovich and John Huston. And it's very much if you're into your films, because Citizen Kane has always been, he said that really, although Citizen Kane, Orson Welles was saying, although Citizen Kane was rated as a great film, it's sort of, that was like, his career was all, everybody was Citizen Kane.
It was, I reckon it kind of killed his career.
Yeah, because he was quite young when he made that, wasn't he? And it
24 sort of, or something,
It followed him forevermore, didn't it?
Everybody was like, oh, what? Anything he made. Why isn't it Citizen Kane? Citizen Kane. Oh, yeah, you did well with that Citizen Kane. You messed up with this one. And, it did fall. Because you see, the other side of the wind, when Netflix released this is one of the problems I find with Netflix. They release so much stuff. And I remember when they released that, and I thought, because it was being advertised, and it was being advertised as this was them getting all the footage of the other side of the wind and somehow finishing the film, finishing the film, the other side. And I was like, ooh, gotta watch that. The next thing you know, other things come up and you forget that is ever on Netflix. So you've just reminded me of like 3 years ago when I first heard about that. I thought I needed to watch that, and I never did because other stuff just sort of like it got buried. I think it got buried under avalanche of all things. Okay, cool. So we'll have those 3 things, and I think also, Shaun, I am quite interested to hear your thoughts on a film that it seems I am destined to never see in the cinema. That is, The Northman. You went to see The Northman. Sharon saw The Northman. I want to see The Northman. I think out of any film that's happened this year, I really wanted to see that more than anything else. But timings and stupid cinemas taking it off the roster and people charging way too much means I haven't got to see that. When we get there, I'll tell you why I haven't seen The Northman and what happened with my latest attempts to get to the cinema to see The Northman. But before we get there, we have some feedback, people. We have feedback.
Ooh.
And you know how it is on this show. We like people getting in touch with us. We like knowing that even though we would witter on into the infinite multiverse, and we wouldn't really care if anybody was listening because, well, quite frankly, we're having too much fun talking to each other. It is good to know that some people actually hear what we say, and hear what they think about it. So first up, this comes from Facebook. We have feedback from 3 different places today, guys. So first up on Facebook, we have a comment on because we've been posting the videos, the individual videos of our different reviews that we've done up on Facebook and on YouTube. And we, on the Operation Mincemeat review, which Sharon did for us, we have a comment. And this continues the usual thing that we have, where we know that whenever we get feedback from the public, Shaun gets fan mail, Sharon gets people who say, oh yes, oh yeah, well done, Miss Bolo, was it? And I get abuse. So this is from Will Nicklin. Will Nicklin, a friend of mine, married to superfan Nina. And he says about Operation Mincemeat, I just watched it. I would give it a 4-star, but I'm biased, as is my genre type. And if you ever met Will, World War II is like his world. But helped by a strong story, but a small cast also helped it. And I thought the photography was good, and you really first felt immersed in the era.
Nice.
So, yeah. So that was it. I think that was somebody who agrees with you, Sharon, about that film being good. And then on WhatsApp, we had who we know is our most regular listener who has made this part of his weekly routine, traveling on the tube in London, going to work, listening to us witter on sometime like on a Monday, Tuesday morning. And that is my cousin Taiwo. And Taiwo says, hey Tosin, enjoyed the last 2 episodes and it's great to have Shaun back. Fan mail.
Oh. Nice. Thank you.
Yeah, it's like Shaun gets fan mail, Sharon gets the prestige, I get abuse. It's like, it's like,
you're the host.
yeah. Having 4 people seems to work well. I had a moment of great pride and immediate shame when I finally got one of Shaun's background screens before Sharon did, Nicolas Cage. and let me tell you how impressive this is, because at this point, right, I usually, when Shaun shows up on Zoom and he shows up with pictures in the background, and if you go online, you can see these pictures and you can try and figure out who the actors are in them and what the film is. And I haven't had a chance because of nappy changing and all that kind of stuff. I haven't had a chance to post any of the videos of us trying to figure out what films this is on. So that means that Taiwo must have been doing this purely from my description, my audio description of what was behind Shaun. That's what I'm thinking. I haven't asked him, but I'm thinking that's the only way he would have known it. That's the only way he would have. It's like it must have been from my audio description, because when we were doing this, when I was doing this and going, all right, cool, Shaun showed up with a picture, and I'm going to describe this picture. I was thinking this is a nonsense. This is an audio thing, and I'm sitting here describing a picture that people are supposed to guess, but apparently it kind of works. So like I considered cutting it out of the edit, but I thought, nah, just leave it in there, see what happens. And look what happened. Someone played a log. So he says like, a moment of great pride and immediate shame when I finally got one of Shaun's background screens before Sharon did, Nicolas Cage. Then the shame doubt that I should be proud of getting it, and it was the low-brow fiesta of guns and ridiculousness that is Face Off.
Oh dear.
Okay, cool. And he ends up by saying, anyway, enjoy Doctor Strange and hope your body forgives you in the morning, because that's when I was going to go for a midnight showing before I realized that there were no midnight showings. So I had to spend 2 days dodging spoilers on the internet because people are horrible. And he says, as always, I'll be skipping that review until I get to watch it in about 3 months' time. And the final bit. So what was that?
He's got not got a baby responsibilities, but he's got little people responsibilities.
He's got 2-year-old responsibilities. Yeah. He's got 2-year-old responsibilities. And finally, we go to YouTube. And on YouTube, we had a comment from somebody called Rose Connolly. Rose Connolly, who left a comment on our review of The Dropout. And she says, I agree. It was excellent and Amanda was brilliant. Amanda Seyfried, who is brilliant. Too bad you wasted time talking about another film. Because I spent the first minute of that review talking about Sonic the Hedgehog 2 versus Sonic the Hedgehog 1. So there it is. There's the very, very slight abuse. So we're keeping up the whole thing. Prestige, fan mail, abuse. And talking about another film. You could have mentioned the wonderful cast and the equally brilliant performances. This is a must-see. To which I replied, you couldn't be more right. So... So thank you, Rose, thank you, Will, and thank you, Taiwo, for getting in touch with us. We love getting any feedback. If you feel so inclined, go onto Apple podcast or wherever it is you find the podcast and leave us a good review or just some more abuse for me. I'm used to it now.
Yeah,
I'm used to it now. It's kind of went off a duck's back.
From my point of view, just mincemeat. I would have given it a 3-star myself. Because I saw that Operation Mincemeat. For me,
I think Sharon gave it a 3-star.
Did you give it a 3-star as well, Sharon? Yeah, you did.
Actually, wait. Let me have okay. Talk amongst yourself.
So yeah, there was a film. I'm sure there was another '60s film about like the man who never was. Yeah, that was. I think.
Give you a moment here. There's this book called Operation Heartbreak, which was written by a guy called Duff Cooper in 1950, before they revealed the name of the body. Yeah. And that's a fictionalized account of the same thing. So it's been in the popular culture, literally almost contemporaneously to when it happened.
That's it. Yeah, I think for me, what it was when I went to see it, I was expecting a little bit more subterfuge, and it was a little bit too heavy on the romance. Well, the unrequited love and all that for my taste. So,
you just sounded like you were just going there going, ugh, kiss me, no.
Well, I did find it a bit schmaltzy. I don't know. But
blow something up.
I think I was when you go forward, I was thinking, it'll be like, because I remember the Man That Never Was. I remember that as being quite sort of a lot more focus on the actual operation rather than. But for me, there was too much focus on the interpersonal relationships. For me, that's from a personal point of view. So. Yeah.
All right. Sharon, I was wrong. You did give Operation Mincemeat 4 stars.
Yeah, I gave it 4.
Okay, cool. We stole long enough. Now we have to carry on. We need to start talking about films this week. And we need to kick off with Doctor Strange and the Multiverse of Madness. Now, this is, once again, the next film in the Marvel canon thing. This is a film that is a sequel to quite a few different things. It's a sequel to the original Doctor Strange. It carries on the story that we left off in WandaVision. There's a whole bunch of stuff that's come up after Spider-Man No Way Home. There's all these things that Marvel is picking up with this film and running with it. And in this film, you meet Doctor Strange. He's now aware of the multiverse. And as the title tells you, it's no secret that in this film, they get to travel into the multiverse through a character that we meet in the first frame called America Chavez, who has the ability to go across the multiverse. She ends up in Doctor Strange's world. She tells him about this, and then they end up traveling across the whole thing because somebody's after her, and who's after her becomes the first thing that we got to figure out in the film. And then it becomes like a chase movie where throughout the whole thing, you're trying to save this girl from whoever it is that wants to steal her power by killing her. That is pretty much the story. I don't think there's anything else to add in there. So let's get straight on to... And the problem with this film is that it's quite hard to talk about without spoiling. Because about 5 minutes into the film... Spoiler! and obviously it's a Marvel movie. They like to put surprises in there. There's all sorts of things that were speculated about this film, about who was going to show up. If we're going into the multiverse, what are we going to see? And all this different stuff that was just coming out of it. So that's why I had myself locked up for 2 days, ignoring all social media because people were going to say what was in it before I finally got to see the film. What did you guys think of this?
Do you want to go first, Sharon? Or do you want me to go first? I mean, I don't mind.
I don't mind because I haven't got any sort of great insights really. I did have to do my homework. I had to go and watch Spider-Man No Way Home, so I watched that at the beginning of the week just to get a bit of an idea what's going on. So that did help.
Yep.
Someone who hasn't seen that one, it certainly helps to sort of expand the understanding of Doctor Strange as well.
Yeah.
I thought on the whole, I enjoyed it very much. I liked some of the nods I thought to classic cinema. There's one I would say there's like a Fantasia moment, and then there was almost like a Universal's Picture moment that I thought that was quite fun.
All right. Oh, no. I'm just wondering because loads of people have been talking about loads of nods in this film and I missed most of them. I'm going to be totally honest with you. I think I caught some of the horror ones, but a lot of these things, a lot of these nods that were this one I missed. So
there are some interesting sort of nods to other sort of classics of cinema. I think in some ways that sort of ties in with the whole WandaVision thing, where you get this sort of
classic TV thing,
and this there was what the elements of classic cinema. So I enjoyed that. I enjoyed exploring Doctor Strange.
Yep.
Because we have, as in their multiverse, there's
multiple versions of most characters.
Most characters exist in another universe. They have a similar arc, but not exactly the same. So it's interesting to see how one, sort of the fickle finger of fate in one universe can make someone almost like how it can change their whole development and how their world is affected around them. So yeah, there's some on a higher level. There's some intellectual things. I thought, that's quite an interesting sort of intellectual thing to think about. But yeah, I thought it had humour, quite irreverent humour as well, which was quite a sort of suits my sort of personal taste. So on the whole, I would say I enjoyed it.
Okay, cool. Shaun, what did you think?
Okay, my thoughts on it.
Because you've actually seen it more than once, haven't you?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. Sharon really upset. That was brilliant, Sharon. What you said there about the nods to different things. I mean, I'm sure you saw a lot more than I did. For me, the film was what should we say? It was quite interesting, the fact that it introduces some character without giving too much away. And I think I did talk to someone about it, and they said, well, it's in the trailer, so it's not really a giveaway. There's another Marvel TV series called What If. So
yes.
And there's a few nods in that to it's like it's going to be the next phase. I think they've introduced the next phase. And what's really interesting is there's one character that you can see. So they're bringing the whole lot together. There's like these.
Oh, it was like Marvel getting the band back together.
They're getting the band back together. They're getting the rights.
It's kind of like you can see like when Marvel, because I remember talking about Spider-Man No Way Home and saying that a large part of that film, for me, it wasn't so much a film about Spider-Man as it was a film about Marvel and Disney's extra wranglings about the character of Spider-Man. Is like and about the fight between Spider-Man and Sony and how you get that was what and I think there's a bit of this where we talk about getting the band back together, where Marvel, since they bought Fox and they're like, we've got Fox, that means we own all the X-Men characters now. That means we have and so there's bits where you can see them going, okay, cool, now we're essentially going to recreate the comics on screen, quite frankly. So yeah, sorry, Shaun, I interrupted you.
Yeah, no, that's okay. That's cool. That's cool you said that. So that aspect of it was quite, because the other characters that are in it, the Illuminati, should we say, was. Mm-hmm. I mean, I'm au fait with those characters, so I knew what each of the characters were from. The film, on the whole, started off really, really, really good. Yeah. And then I towards the end, it started to get a bit cliche, should we say, and a bit no, and a bit for me. There was a bit in, the one of the Avengers one where it's like, you've gone this far, and all of a sudden it's sort of like, really? It's that? Do you know what I mean? It's like you've gone
exactly
through so much, so much trauma for this one goal, and then it's like, to me, for me, I was thinking, it lost a little bit of consistency towards the end. It was a bit of a letdown towards the end, should we say?
Yeah. Now, the thing is, I was smiling, and I almost jumped in when Sharon was talking, and I decided to be polite and stuff, because when you mentioned the whole thing about the intellectual stuff, So Sharon, you said about it being, and this is a weird thing because obviously this is the next film that they've made after Spider-Man: No Way Home, and it's going to be compared to that film. There's no two ways about it. And so I was watching this, and I was comparing that when I was watching Spider-Man: No Way Home, I was enjoying that as I was watching it, and this I wasn't so much enjoying it as I was studying it, as I was sitting out there going, huh, okay. Okay, that's okay. Cool, if you're gonna do that, but if you're gonna do that, what's that gonna mean for that? And I was kind of sort of sat out there, just sort of studying this film, and there were bits about this where I felt like it's carried on, as I said, that whole thing of Marvel not making a film about whatever the film's about, but it's almost as if you can feel the outside world behind the film intruding on the film, and that's why that guy's there, and that's why this person's shown up. Now there are some cameos in this film there is one musical cue. There is one musical cue where they have a little bit of music that plays when a character shows up that had me punch in the air. And any child of the 90s who was a fan of comic books, and especially Marvel comic books in the 90s, that was a total punch to the air. I was like, oh, yes, they went there. I think the film is, there was a whole bunch of talk about it being like Marvel's first horror movie. And there's definitely horror inflections in there. The fact that there's bits that you can see in the trailer. There's bits that, when you talk about What If, which was the first time that they actually sort of went to the multiverse and all that kind of stuff, that there's bits in there. Although you guys both know, and I have gone on record many times on this podcast saying as I do not like the multiverse. I think the multiverse leads to lazy writing, and I feel like the multiverse is the thing that is going to destroy the MCU. This film, and I remember watching Spider-Man: No Way Home and thinking, I enjoyed that, but I can still see the problems of the multiverse coming through, and it's started a little bit. This film has only reinforced my view that the multiverse is going to destroy the MCU.
Yeah.
It has only reinforced it, because when we talk about lazy, like there is one pep talk. Shaun, I totally agree with you that the film starts off all like nice, like, oh, okay, like, what we're gonna do here? Oh, it's gonna be a bit weird, and it's gonna be a bit, and there's a bit like, the first Doctor Strange went weird, and it went Jack Kirby weird, and there's a bit where, like, where Doctor Strange does his first trip through the sort of like astral plane, and they have a similar sort of thing here, but it's kind of like traveling through the different multiverses because when he does the first trip, so those bits are all nice and they're interesting and they're a bit out there and they're weird, but there's a bit where they give a pep talk, and oh my god, it's kind of like, let me put it this way. There was a film called Shout, and I'm trying to talk about these things without talking about Doctor Strange because I don't want to give any spoilers. But there's a film called Shout in which John Travolta plays like some sort of blues teacher musician in the 1950s, and he goes to this town, and there's these kids who are trying to play but can't really play the guitar. And then there's this scene where John Travolta gives this kid a pep talk and goes, come on, it's inside you, it's been inside you the whole time, just gotta let it out. And the next thing you know, the guy's the best blues guitarist in the world, and you're thinking, what the hell? And there's a scene in this film that gave me a massive what the hell moment, and I was like, what? No, come on. And Shaun, when you talk about the whole thing about you've come this far, why would you come? And the character motivations, I am, especially one particular character, I am not particularly sure that the motivations follow on from what we have seen before. There's an argument to be made that it does follow on. There's an argument to be made that it does not follow on. But it makes you, but you're like, you turn 2 pages there. Something went wrong there. That's quite a drastic jump.
Yeah.
And at the end of the film, at the conclusion of the film, they do some things where I'm like, hang on, but if you have just done that 5 minutes ago and you've just realized that 5 minutes ago, why the hell are you doing that now? Why aren't you doing that? and so there's just bits that you're like, this doesn't make sense. This doesn't hold together. And it's a shame because Benedict Cumberbatch is probably the best he's ever been as Doctor Strange.
Yeah.
Putting like different shades of the character, especially I think because I remember in the first Doctor Strange movie, Rachel McAdams, there was almost kind of like a, why is she even in this film? It's like there was a big thing of, why is she even in this film? Why did you get Marissa Adams if she's not going to do anything? They do more with her, and I think the interplay between, because I remember in What If they tried to make that character, for my money, they tried to make that character more important than the character ever was. And I feel like they doubled down on that, but it's more believable here, mostly because of the performances of Benedict Cumberbatch and Rachel McAdams. But there's just so many bits in this film where they do stuff, not because it makes any sense, but because that's the kind of stuff you do in movies. And it annoyed the hell out of me.
I think, for me, I think this was a little bit of a showcase for the next, you know, whatever generation of Marvel movies, because they're obviously going to do some reboots and introduce other things.
That's going to happen. We've known that's coming for a while.
Yeah, we know it's been going for a while. So
the thing about it is, I was surprised at how standalone this film is, because there's a lot of stuff beforehand that this film links to, but there's not a lot of stuff afterwards that it explicitly links to. Like, it's not sort of saying, "Ooh, come back because this is going to happen next," and "Oh, that is going to happen next." Even in the post-credit stings or anything like that, there's no "come back because, ooh, this character's going to show up in Guardians of the Galaxy 3" or anything like that. So it's I was quite surprised at how standalone it was. But I think we've gone on along. I think this film is causing a lot of debate for people. Some people think it is a pile of steaming cack. Some people think it's actually brilliant. And I come down somewhere in the middle. I think I'll have to give it a 3, but it's a very disappointed 3.
For me, yeah, I give it a 3 as well, because it started off really interesting. It started off good. There were some nice elements in it, but it's like, I don't know what happens. It's like, for me, it seems to be like a lot of films. Towards the end, it sort of loses its way.
I'll tell you what happened. The multiverse happened.
The multiverse
happened, and the multiverse is going to ruin the MCU. I am saying it now. It is going to. It ruins it in the comics. It becomes big. It becomes unwieldy, and the only thing is to take off to a safe height and nuke the whole thing from space. Nuke the whole thing from orbit, and that's what they do in the comics, and that's what's going to happen with the MCU, because the multiverse is going to ruin it.
Yeah, you don't want them to use it as like a get out of jail card. It's like, wow. But there's always
you can see elements of that already happening in this film. Like for instance, the character of America Chavez, some people have called her a walking, talking MacGuffin. It's like, we need to travel through the multiverse. What are we going to do? Ta-da! There's somebody in the multiverse who can do it.
Yeah. I think the multiverse was good. The Spider-Man, the latest Spider-Man one was good to put that back on, you know, so that I think that was a good reason.
Yeah, they dabbled in it. They dabbled in it.
Yeah, but now it's like, you know, become a monster. An unwieldy monster.
It is an unwieldy, one-eyed monster in the streets of New York, and it's, I really think it's going to destroy the MCU. But sorry, Sharon, how many stars?
I would agree. I'd give it. There's elements I really liked, and there's elements that I was a bit like, you say, you sort of step out of the film and you're thinking about the film rather than being immersed in it. So I had those moments. So for that reason, I would give it a 3 as well.
Yeah, it's disappointing, but I think I pretty much spend most of this film with her.
Yeah, that's it.
Look at my face. Apart from that one musical cue when one of the characters shows up, and I was like, yes. There were a couple of bits I really liked, and I just wish that the film had sustained it.
I know that film.
We have gone out of time. I'm going to be getting like death stares from my wife very soon.
Okay.
So we need to crack on, because we've only spoken about one film and we have a couple more to get to. So I'm going to go through and I'm going to get back. Okay, now we're going to go to 5 minutes. We're going to give ourselves 5 minutes to talk about each of these films, and I am going to talk about the latest Marvel TV series, Keeping Things Marvel, and I'm going to talk about Moon Knight. Now, Moon Knight is a 6-part TV series, and that stars the titular Moon Knight. It stars Oscar Isaac, Ethan Hawke, and an actress called May Calamawy. And it is all about Oscar Isaac plays dual roles. You first meet him as a guy called Stephen Grant. You meet him as a guy called Stephen Grant, who is a British he's a British worker in a museum in London. He loves all stuff about Egyptian stuff and all that, and Egyptian artifacts and Egyptian history and the Egyptian sort of like, you know, pantheon and all that. He's really, really, really into it. And it turns out that he has a dissociative identity disorder, and there's another personality living in his body called Mark Spector, and they are an avatar for an Egyptian god of vengeance called Khonshu. So he actually wakes up every morning. He ties himself to a bed. He ties himself to his bed because he started realizing that he would fall asleep, he would wake up, and he would be in a different place, or he would be in a different city, and he would have no idea how he got there. So he starts tying himself to his bed, and you follow this whole thing through. You have Ethan Hawke playing a character who is called Darrow, and he is the avatar of another Egyptian god called Ammit, who wants to judge the whole world before they've actually done anything wrong. So what she does is that she takes a person, judges them, and goes, are you going to do any evil in your life at some point, or is your evil going to outweigh your good? If your evil outweighs your good, I kill you right here before you ever have a chance to do any of the evil. So it's this whole thing about, like, you know, the fight between the gods, but done through these people, and it's done with Oscar Isaac and Ethan Hawke. And this show is, well, to be honest with you, by the time I finished watching this show, I was kind of like, so what was the point of that? Like after 6 episodes, I don't know what the point was. I don't know what you're trying to do. I don't know what you're trying to link to anything, because Marvel have hit some really good heights with their TV shows, like WandaVision, like Loki. I really, really like Hawkeye. And then there's some of them where it's kind of like almost like you're treading water until you can figure out how to integrate this person into the wider MCU. And this was just kind of like, I'm not sure what you're trying to do here. There were some bits where this film went a little bit Indiana Jones and all that, but I was just left quite honestly not sure what they were trying to say and what they were trying to do with this show, or what the point of this show was. Like, where the show ends, it's obviously going to be like, come back for the rest of the story. I'm like, no, finish the story now. Finish a story. Don't tell me to come back for the rest of the story. So I was not that taken with it. And also, it shows a problem that Marvel has, which is at the time these things were written, and it's shown up when they made the first Doctor Strange film with casting Tilda Swinton as the Ancient One, when they thought that was a good way of getting around the fact that the original Ancient One was shall I say, an racist Asian stereotype, quite frankly. And then they had a similar thing when they had Iron Man 3, and they had the Mandarin, and then they went, oh, you know, we're going to just, like, you know, we're going to go away from our racist, so xenophobic past by, Travis Slattery. And the people were like, wait a second, what the hell? And Marvel have this problem where you have these beloved characters, and I do love these characters, but they were made at a time when, shall we say, Stan Lee and all his other friends at Marvel were not the most culturally sensitive people. And so you have this whole thing of trying to fight with this, and this comes about again. The big question when I was watching this is, okay, Khonshu is an Egyptian god. He needs a human avatar. Why the heck is his avatar not Egyptian?
Yeah.
Why is his avatar not Egyptian? But in the stories, obviously, because he was created in the 60s and stuff. Of course, he's going to be white. He's going to be white. Anybody of importance is white, so his avatar's going to be white. And so now they've gone and they've made him is Oscar Isaac, but he's still not Egyptian. And then to add insult to injury, there's a bit where they show the whole pantheon of the Egyptian gods, and all the avatars meet up. And there's only one of them that could possibly be Egyptian. And I'm watching this thing going, there is a massive problem here. Many people might not pick this up, but for me, I'm going, why are the Egyptian gods not choosing Egyptian avatars? What is up with this? And it feels a little bit like, because they've given the May Calamari is Egyptian, and her character is Egyptian. She's married to one of Oscar Isaac's personalities. And it feels as if, because they've made her fully Egyptian, that they're patting themselves on the back. It feels a bit like that. And I heard an interview with the director, Mohamed Diab, who is Egyptian as well, who said he had to fight for a supporting character, not even the main character, to be Egyptian, because they wanted to make her half Egyptian. And he was like, he had to fight for her to be. And this whole thing, I was just watching the whole show, and I couldn't get this out of my head. I was like, why the hell are the Egyptian gods not choosing Egyptian avatars? Why are the avatars American? Why are the avatars well, like, the American, that one's American, that one sounds like, there's someone from West Africa, that one's English. Why are the avatars not Egyptian? And it just seemed like a very culturally insensitive thing to do in this day and age, and I couldn't understand why the heck they did it. And I wanted to ask so many questions to the people who made the show. So I think I would give Moon Knight 3 out of 5 because cultural insensitivities, and I just don't see the point. Which is sad because I do like Marvel. But now let's go to cinema. Go back to cinema and let's talk about Bad Guys. So this is an animated movie that Shaun went to go see. Took one for the team because I couldn't find the time to say it. And it's all about a whole bunch of animals that are usually seen as bad deciding to be good because then they can steal more stuff. So you have like the big bad wolf and all that kind of stuff. So Shaun, tell me, what do you think about this?
Okay, so here you have, it's, I don't know, some people might have seen the film Zootopia. It's a similar sort of animation to Zootopia with, nice characters, nefarious characters, and they're all animals. They're all different animals, you've got, and for the traits, the animals have all got those certain traits, like the fox is obviously the brains of the outfit, and there's there's a female fox who's like, well, it's just handy to be a fox as well, and then you've got like a slippery snake, and then you've got So basically, they've been caught. They're bad guys, and then there's this lovely guinea pig that decides, a professor that decides that the best way to rehabilitate them is make them become good guys. And there's a few subplots, and there's some of the characters are really good. Let's see if I remember the characters. There's Mr. Snake. Mr. Fox.
There's a shark in it, isn't there?
Shark, and a piranha, and so you can imagine like they're heavies. Those boys are heavy. You've got a Miss Spider, which is like does the Miss Webb, whatever. She's like the computer whiz that can, you get in these films where you always need a computer nerd to say Mission Impossible, to do all the stuff, and there's
you need the guy in the chair.
There's moments in it where it's cutting close. Oh no, I'm not gonna. Are we gonna do it? So, and obviously being a spider, they can manage that. So anyway, and I mean, it's quite predictable. It's quite predictable. You can see the plot's fairly certain where it's going to go, and good guys, bad guys, and in between guys, and what have you. And the normal, it's basically a bit of a jape, a bit of a jolly jape, really.
Well, then the way you've described it, there, it sounds a little bit like Suicide Squad, but with cartoon animals.
With cartoon animals, yeah, something like that. And it's quite colourful. It's good fun. It's I mean, it wasn't, I didn't know if I was going to like it or not. I think I was pleasantly surprised by it. I mean, it's I do enjoy some of these animated films. Some, say like Zootopia and that. But this is probably good for, I would say, all ages really, for children and for adults. But it is extremely, extremely predictable. You think, oh, I know exactly where this is going to go. I can see exactly what this is going. The animation's really good. The characters are really good. So on the whole, this I wouldn't say it was great. I wouldn't say it sort of was a knockout film, but it had enough in there to make it a 3-star. And I'm fairly sure that this would be one that if you had some young children, you could go. It would be fun to go and see it, and you wouldn't be disappointed. It wouldn't be too childish. There's enough in there too. So. To me, this would be an ideal film to take reminded me a bit of, like, say, the Disney Robin Hood film. Do you know what I mean?
Because I mean, it seems just from the trailer and everything, and from it seems almost kind of like it's aware of all the tropes of a heist movie. And it's taking those ideas of a heist movie and it's putting them into a kid's film, and with talking animals and all that kind of stuff. But I would imagine that there'll be a couple of bits where you'd be like, oh yeah, that's from that film. Oh yeah, that's from that film. He's kind of like the George Clooney character in Ocean's 11.
I think I mentioned like George Clooney, and Mission Impossible. I think I mentioned Mission Impossible, didn't I?
It looked like a lot of fun, and that's the thing. It looked like a lot of fun, and it looked like a film that wasn't going to try and pretend to be anything but a lot of fun, because I think it was released for Easter, And it was kind of like, yeah, take your kids to the cinema for 2 hours. If you're like my brother, let them enjoy the film while you have a nap. So it's kind of like, it looked like it was that kind of film. So how many stars would we give The Bad Guys?
Well, I'm only going to give it a 3. I'm not going to give it a 4 because it wasn't. But it's entertaining enough. It's a decent enough film, and so this gets a 3-star from me. This one.
All right, cool, good stuff. And now we go from cinema back to Netflix and stuff, and we go to The Rising, which you saw, Sharon.
Yes, I saw. I'm trying to think if it's a 6 or 8 part drama on Sky, but it basically starts with a murder.
Ooh.
And the person murdered doesn't know they've been killed until, well, towards the end of the first episode. So they wake up basically they think they wake up in a lake, and then they make their way home, and everyone is basically ignoring them. And then when they get home, everyone is basically ignoring them. And then they realise bit by bit that they actually have been killed, they have been murdered. And the rest of the drama is basically about them trying to find out how they died. And it's about how some people are able to see them and interact with them, and others just can't. And so it's working out the sort of the parameters of this world in which they live, what they can do, and how they can go about. So as each episode unfolds, you discover a bit more about the characters, about their past, how they interact, and it's like all these. It's like a bit it's a bit sort of Nordic noiry in that you get led to thinking, oh, it's obviously going to be them, and then it's like, ha ha ha, fooled you, I'm not the killer. And then another episode along, it's like, oh, it's obviously them, ha ha, fooled you, they're not the killer. And so it does sort of do that. It sort of reel you in, and then let you go, reel you in, let you go, throughout the thing. But you do find out the murderer by the end of the drama. So it's quite sort of self-contained. Yes, and so you see this sort of the crime unfolds through the eyes of the victim.
Or is this the one where it's like the victim is essentially trying to solve their own murder?
Yes.
Okay, all right, cool. Because I've seen it. So what did you think of it?
Yeah, there were some elements that were interesting. It reminded me a little bit of, there was a French drama, I think, was it called? I can't remember what it's called now. I was going to say The Revenant, but it wasn't that. But it was something like that.
The Returned.
The Returned, but yeah, I can't remember what the French word for it was. But anyway, yes, it was like The Returned, where these people who have died have all come back, and it's sort of some supernatural event. So the reason she comes back is connected to some sort of mythological thingy that we haven't quite really got to the bottom of. But there's a reason why the world isn't populated by the spectres of the dead or the shades of the dead. So there's a reason why she's come back in that particular place. But yeah, so there's interesting things. I found it interesting rather than entertaining. It started off well, and then to me, I only watched it because I wanted to see the whole series so I could review it. I thought, I'm not committing.
You're like, oh, I started now. I've got to finish this thing. If not, I can't review it.
Yeah. If I don't watch all of it, it's wasted 4 hours of my life. No, so I did. So I did persevere with it. So I didn't love it. I thought it was interesting. I thought it was interesting ideas about the afterlife. Not an afterlife I'd like to inhabit, to be honest with you. The way it's portrayed, I'm thinking, okay, that's not what to me, I think the problem is obviously you and I sort of share a faith. So it's like a godless afterlife. Doesn't seem that much fun, to be honest with you. So I was thinking,
it's like if you don't have a god, why is there an afterlife?
Why is there an afterlife, and what's all that about, and why? So I found it, that regard for me was left entirely unsatisfying, and so I found it was a bit I would say unsatisfying. It was interesting, but on the whole, I didn't love it. So I would say
seems like a theme for the week.
Yeah. So I would say there's some interesting things. It's entertaining for what it is, but you expect something a little bit more for that sort of drama. Well, I do anyway. If you're going to come in with big ideas, you need to have a bigger vision. I didn't think it had it. So for me,
you need to back it up.
Yeah, so me, it was definitely a 3, but no more than that. So I would say yes, it's worth seeing, but don't expect great things from it.
All right, cool. And the French title was Les Revenants.
So it was like close to the Revenant.
Yeah, you were.
Was very close.
I would say you were pretty spot on, and I think you were spot on. And even with me reading it up, I'm pretty sure I got the pronunciation wrong. I apologize to my French friends. Right, and now we go back to cinema really, really quickly for Shaun to say, what did you think of The Northman?
The Northman. Oh, The Northman. Okay. Yeah. For me, I didn't think it knew what it wanted to be. I don't know. I thought it didn't know if it wanted to be arty. I didn't know if it wanted to be actiony. I didn't know if it wanted to be dramatic or melodramatic. To me, it was a little bit all over the place, and I don't think it knew what it wanted to be. It was trying to be too many things instead of being one thing. That's my thought on it. Lovely scenery. So what is this? Is this a David Lean film? Is this a, well, it didn't know what, for me, it didn't know what it wanted to be. It had an idea, but it was just a bit all over the place, and it was okay.
Shaun, I've got a question. So you remember The Lighthouse with Willem Dafoe and Robert Pattinson? You liked The Lighthouse, didn't you?
Yeah, I did like The Lighthouse, yes.
Because I would have leveled the same accusation at The Lighthouse. Yes. It's the same director.
It's the same. Isn't that strange? There you go. Look, isn't it funny how the world comes around?
It's
funny, isn't it?
It's the same director, Robert Eggers, where I was like, what the hell is this film? What are you trying to do? I remember just sitting there when I go, what the hell is this? Why is he speaking like, what's going on? Why is there a mermaid? What's he doing to the mermaid?
Mermaid, yeah, okay.
He's now a dog?
Yeah. I would be great if you could see this film so we could get your
I promised I would say what happened with The Northman. So last night I finally found a cinema that was still showing The Northman, and I was like, okay, cool, I could go see this thing. It's at 10 to 9 at night, which means that my wife and kid will be in bed. I can go away. I can do this, and then they wanted to charge me £10, and yeah, £10, and I was just kind of like, no. I was like, not in these days of high fuel prices and God knows what with the heating in the house. And then I was like, I'm not paying £10 to go to the cinema. I really want to see this film, but I'm not going to pay. So unless it goes back to the cinema where I pay £5, it's like, I don't think I'm going to be seeing this film in the cinema until it shows up on TV somewhere, which is a massive shame. Or unless somebody gives me £10 and says you can't use this film money for anything else apart from go see The Watchmen at the Empire Cinema in Rubbery. Like, all right, cool. So now we go back to Netflix and stuff, and you saw The Other Side of the Wind show.
The Other Side of the Wind, yes. So this is a documentary film about Orson Welles' last movie that he never really finished. So yeah, it's basically a documentary, and it starts off with his early life, his early films. Obviously mentioned Citizen Kane and how Hollywood sort of disowned him for what he was going to do because he became a bit maverick, so he had to go to Europe to work. And he made lots of other films. So all through this documentary, there's lots of archive footage, and then there's actual footage of the making of this film, which was going to be his last film, and all the actors who were involved and weren't involved, and got sacked and got rehired, and there's other directors, John Huston, Peter Bogdanovich, and the players like John Huston. I didn't realise they were terrific friends. Orson Welles and John Huston, who I rate very, very highly, were very much together. So basically, this was John Huston playing Orson Welles in. Because
John Huston was cast in the original film.
Cast in the original film, yes. So he's actually the same, and it's saying he's the only one who could do it, But in the end, why didn't Orson Welles do it himself, So, and it was almost, and then there was people that were saying, well, he never wanted to finish his films, and other people saying, well, he did want to finish his films, but he ran out with money, and a lot of the finance for that film came from Iran, from the Shah of Iran.
Oh yeah.
And then all of a sudden, it was obviously when they had the Ayatollah Khomeini take over from Iran, they basically took the film and locked it away until the funding, they ran out of the funding. Yeah, it just dried up because most of it was being financed by the Shah of Iran, which was quite interesting. There's a lot of interesting stuff in this, and if you're into your films, and if you particularly like your Orson Welles films, I was thinking back, I haven't seen. There's quite a few, and I've seen a few, but there's quite a few I haven't seen. And there was one that they go on quite a lot of, which is it's about Falstaff, and it like takes in 3 Shakespeare plays, which I'm going to make a. Pardon? Have you seen that, Sharon?
No, I haven't seen it. I'm aware of it. I
forget what it's called. I forget what it's called now. That's a shame like that. But basically, it's about Falstaff, and it takes in the 2 Henry IV and the Henry V, and it's just the so that was really, to me, that was the most interesting. I thought, this is intriguing. This is interesting. I'm going to have to watch. I'd like to see this film. But yeah, how much time I got left?
That sounds a little bit like The King.
The King, yes, a little bit like The King, yeah. I mean, it goes to Henry V, and it's very, very clever. All right, okay. Oh, that's quite a lot of time then, so we can look that up. That other film. Yeah. So you've got, as I say, you've got these directors talking. You've got Peter Bogdanovich and talking about the guy that was playing, supposed to be Peter Bogdanovich. You've got a girl who's really young that's supposed. It is a typical documentary with lots of different archive material. I mean, it concentrates a lot of archive material, interspersed with some of the material from the film, interspersed with, interviews with, and he's quite, to me, from what I got from this, was that Orson Welles was quite, for me, I think he was someone I would have got on with. He seems quite a jovial, quite likable character, and to me, I think, and this has made me more interested in Orson Welles, to see some more Orson Welles.
I was fully expecting you to say he seems to me like quite an arsehole.
Well, that's what I would have thought. That's what I would have thought for some of the things, but he was quite endearing as well. He had quite a nice charismatic. He was very charismatic, I would say. Yeah. So if a bit like, and very, very intellectual as well. Very.
Anybody who's seen any of his appearances on Parkinson's, with the big, massive, bushy beard, with a big, massive, bushy beard that somehow sprouted a cigar from somewhere, just sticking out of this beard. All right, so how many stars would you give this?
Okay, well, this I'm going to give. It's a tough one, this, because I don't think it's quite worth a 4-star. I don't think it's quite worth a 4-star. It's definitely a watch if you're interested in that type of thing, and I am, and I got quite a lot out of it, but it did seem, how can I say, with documentaries, I wasn't like totally engrossed with it. I could have been, it could have been one of those ones where you could look away or easily stop it and go to the toilet, or if you wanted to, if you wanted to make a cup of tea, which is the joy of streaming, you can say, is you could stop it, which I think I did on one occasion. So I'm going to give this one a 3-star, but it's worth a watch if you like your movies.
We've had ourselves a very 3-star kind of week.
Very,
a very 3-star kind of week. All right, cool. Now, Shaun, could you duck down again? I want to have another look at this actress because I've looked up her name. Yeah, so her name is Julie Warner. To give her due, Julie Warner, and she actually kept working. She ended up in like L.A. Law and everything like that, and has recently been in something. But I just realized, looking at her, that she looks like she could be Emilia Clarke's mum.
Well does.
Yeah.
Doesn't she? If you put blonde hair on her, she could be the Khaleesi.
Yeah, she could be Daenerys. I was just like, I was just kind of like, oh my god, yeah, she does look like her. She does look like her. It was also Nip Tuck.
Because Doctor Strange is his mother is an actress called Vanda Wantham, and she used to be in a TV series which I really liked. That was like a bit of a schoolboy crush. For UFO, there used to be this TV series called UFO. Doom, 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 doom. She used to be the blonde haired. Well, that's Cumberbatch's.
Oh, the Benedict Cumberbatch's mum.
Mum, yeah. So.
Okay, so we're bringing it full circle back to Doctor Strange. We are now. So I guess it's. Well, it's been a 3-star kind of week. It's been a bit disappointing kind of week. It's promised a lot and it delivered not quite enough. And so what we just left with is we're left with going to next week where we will be seeing, and because the cinemas around me are rubbish, I will be tracking down a cinema that I can watch this in. And this is what I was talking about, whether people should have run away from Doctor Strange in the Multiverse of Madness. There is a genius move by a filmmaking duo called the Daniels, who have made a film called Everything Everywhere All at Once, which deals in similar multiversal shenanigans and is being released this week. And I think with the general reaction to Doctor Strange, releasing this film right now is a stroke of absolute genius. I think it's a stroke of absolute genius because this film is going to get a lot more attention than it otherwise might have. And all the reviews that have been coming have been going, oh my god, this is the best of the multiversal movies released this year. This is the best one. and so we will see. I think by this time next week, hopefully, Shaun, I would have tracked down a cinema. I would have tied it to the ground, and I would have watched. Watched this because we've seen this already.
I have, yeah. I mean, it was one of those unlimited showings, like Cineworld. Sometimes they do unlimited showings, and it was in Bournemouth that I saw this. But what was really weird was they, like sometimes at these Cineworld things you get free popcorn and that. Well, they had like seat numbers. They had like these 5 prizes of a cup of, I don't know what was in it, but anyway, stuff. And they were calling out seat numbers. Yeah. And of course, there wasn't that many. It was a huge cinema, and there wasn't that many seats. And they're going B1 and like that. And in the end, someone shouted out, "Just go for the closest. Just go for the closest." So they did that in the end. Otherwise, we'd have been there all night. But anyway, it was So
right,
so I'm looking forward. I want you guys to see it. It's nice when other people have seen things. So.
I'm looking forward to seeing that as well. So until next week, I had a link for this, but I can't remember what I was going to say. So until next week, when we shall hopefully see Everything all at once. Oh, hang on a second. Shaun's showing up with another picture. He has another person.
You get 1 million imaginary points, Tosin, if you can name this film. I don't think you'll get it.
The guy on the left looks so familiar. The guy on the left, so this is Shaun with his picture in the background. The guy, he looks. I'm sure I've seen him in something. The guy on the right looks like Terry Thomas again, but younger.
Yeah, it is someone who's really, really similar to him. But Sharon, any idea?
James Robertson Justice and
yes,
it was out of my head. I was going to say Phillips. I was going to say Leslie Phillips, but is it Leslie Phillips? Yeah. This one's Doctor film.
Oh yeah,
Doctor in the House.
Oh, close. It is a Doctor film. This one, there was loads of Doctor films, which is why.
Yeah, which all had Leslie Phillips in it, and you're right. Yeah, Leslie Phillips was essentially the reincarnation of Terry Thomas.
Yeah,
he totally was.
He totally was. Yes. So, okay, you were close. It could be. To be fair, it's a bit mean because it could be any of the Doctor's films. It could be
The Doctor Rings Back,
Doctor at Sea, Doctor in Love. So
Doctor in the I've got it. Doctor in the Multiverse of Madness.
Good shout. No, that is actually Doctor in Love. So
all right. So until next week, where we shall come back with some more multiversal mayhem. It's a goodbye from me.
It's a goodbye from me.
And it's a goodbye from me.
Thank you very much for joining us.